The world we know today is a shadow. A pale imitation of what once was, millions of years ago. The Amazon was not just a rainforest, it was a pressure cooker of life-seething, breathing, living entity. Thick, heavy with moisture, the smell of damp earth, blooming flowers the size of dinner plates. A world painted in a million shades of green, a labyrinth with no beginning and no end. Sunlight struggled to pierce the canopy through layers of gigantic leaves, a dim, mysterious world on the forest floor below. The ultimate survival challenge. Not for a day, not for a week, but for a lifetime. Every sound, every rustle, every shadow could mean life or death. Imagine trees that scrape the heavens, trunks as wide as small huts. Long before cities of stone and steel, the first peoples made this formidable world their home. They were not conquerors of the jungle, they were a part of it. Their existence was a masterclass in adaptation and resilience. They lived in small, tight-knit communities, often in clearings carved from the dense undergrowth or near the life-giving rivers. Their homes were not permanent fortresses, structures made from wood, palm fronds, vines, materials that could be gathered quickly and rebuilt easily. Their lives were dictated by the rhythm of the sun, the moon, and the seasons. They understood that to survive here, you had to move with the jungle, not against it. Daily life was a constant cycle of essential tasks. Men would venture out to hunt and fish, their senses honed to a razor's edge. Women would gather edible plants, fruits, nuts, insects, their knowledge of the local botany encyclopedic. Children learned from a young age, not in a classroom but through direct experience. This ancient Amazon was not just home to people, it was a veritable kingdom of monsters. This was the age of megafauna. Animals grew to terrifying proportions. The heat and abundant food sources created an environment where size was a distinct advantage. Imagine rodents the size of buffalo, giant ground sloths that could rear up and strip leaves from high branches, armored glyptodonts, giant walking tanks. The rivers were just as dangerous, patrolled by the monstrous Purosaurus. A caiman so large it could have preyed on modern crocodiles. Its bite force was legendary. Capable of crushing bone and shell, the air itself was not safe. Giant raptors, eagles with wingspans that could blot out the sun, raptors snatching monkeys or even small deer, terror birds, flightless predators taller than a man with axe-like beaks. Every level of the ecosystem was occupied, the forest floor, the canopy, the rivers that snaked through it. It was a high-stakes environment where being small often meant being prey. This bred a primal, constant awareness of vulnerability. The ground could tremble from a browsing megatherium. The water's surface could erupt as a giant caiman lunged. A shadow passing overhead could be a predator. But among all these behemoths, one creature reigned supreme. The Titanoboa was not just an animal, it was a living legend, a god of the swamps. Its name would have been spoken in hushed tones, a word carrying the weight of primal fear. Imagine a snake as long as a bus, with a body as thick as a man's torso. It wasn't a creature you simply stumbled upon. Its presence was a force of nature. When it moved through the water, it created currents. When it slid through the undergrowth, it left a trail like a fallen log being dragged through the mud. Its sheer scale was almost impossible to comprehend. This was not a predator that hid behind a leaf, it could hide in plain sight, its mottled skin perfectly mimicking dappled light and shadow. Encounters with such a beast were rarely survivable. The Titanoboa was a constrictor, it didn't need venom. Its weapon was pure, brute force. It could ambush prey from the water's edge, striking with incredible speed. Its jaws would clamp down, not to chew, but to anchor its victim. Then the coils would come. Ton after ton of muscle would wrap around its prey. For a human, death would be instantaneous. Hunting the Titanoboa was not an act of sport, it was an act of desperation or immense bravery. Only when the snake threatened a village, taking livestock or worse, a person. Not one man's hunt. The tribe's most skilled, courageous hunters moved and thought as one. Elders made the call after careful consideration and spiritual rituals. A declaration of war against nature, failure not an option. Simple tools from the forest, fire-hardened spears, tips of sharpened bone or obsidian, heavy wooden clubs, their greatest weapon, the mind, unparalleled tracking knowledge. They read the forest like a book. Broken branches, disturbed mud, a faint musky scent, clues. They followed the massive trail, flattened vegetation, displaced earth, moving with silence and stealth. The moment of confrontation is pure chaos. The water explodes. The great snake lunges from the murky depths, a nightmare of muscle and scales moving with impossible speed. Its head, as large as a man's chest, crashes onto the bank, jaws agape. The sound is a terrifying hiss, like 1,000 tires deflating at once. This is the moment that separates the brave from the dead. There is no time for thought, only for action honed by years of practice and courage forged in the fires of necessity. The hunter's plan must unfold in a matter of seconds. It is a symphony of coordinated violence against a living mountain. The first wave of hunters strikes. Their goal is not to kill, but to anchor and distract. They hurl their heavy spears, aiming for the thick muscle behind the snake's massive head. The sharpened bone points are designed to lodge deep in the flesh, acting as barbs. The long wooden shafts become levers, handles for the hunters to hold onto, to try and pin the beast's head to the ground. It is a battle of leverage and strength. The snake thrashes, its immense power capable of throwing men through the air like dolls. The death of the Titanoboa is not the end of the story, it is the beginning of another. The monumental task of butchering the kill begins. Hunters hauling heavy meat through the jungle to the village. Nothing will be wasted. The meat, a massive bounty of protein. It will feed the village for weeks. It is carved up with stone knives in a long and arduous process. The skin, a huge expanse of tough, patterned hide, is carefully removed. Close-ups of the skin being stretched and scraped, patterns visible. Roofing for shelters, durable pouches, armor, ceremonial coverings. It is a resource more valuable than any stone or metal, a testament to their victory. The feast that follows is a celebration of life. The feast that follows is a celebration of courage. The feast that follows is a celebration of community. The entire village gathers. The air is thick with the smoke of cooking fires and the sound of joyous celebration. The hunters who led the kill are hailed as heroes. They recount the story of the hunt. Every tense moment, every act of bravery. The legacy of the ancient serpent slayers is not found in stone monuments or written texts. It lives in the actions, beliefs, and spirit of their descendants today. It is seen in the unshakable confidence of a hunter moving silently through the undergrowth, his senses attuned to the forest's subtle language. It is heard in the voice of a shaman chanting to the spirits of the river before a fishing expedition. It is felt in the tight-knit bond of a community that knows their survival depends on cooperation and shared knowledge. This is not a relic of the past, it is a living, breathing inheritance of courage. The tools may have changed. A steel machete may have replaced a stone axe, a fishing net of nylon instead of vine, but the mindset remains the same. The core principles of jungle survival are timeless: observation, patience, respect for the environment, and an intimate understanding of its rhythms. The spirit of the hunter is the spirit of the survivor, and that is a legacy worth fighting for.